Hello, carpenters. This is the first problem for week number 2, working with the steel square. And so the very first problem that you need to do for week number 2 is to draw a circle using your square. Now, most of the time when we draw a circle, we use a thing like this called a compass. But you can draw a pretty much perfect circle using a square like this one that I made last week. And so this is a cardboard square if you don't have a regular square, and the instructions are in week 1 as far as how to make a square like this. If you do have a small square like this one, you can go ahead and use that, no problem there. And in fact, if you have a regular carpenter square, something like what this one is, you can use that as well. But for those of you that don't have access to a lot of tools, go ahead and use the instructions. Find yourself some cardboard, a cardboard box or something like that, and make yourself a square. I won't be using this square all the time, but for this first problem, I'll be using this square for sure. The second thing you need to have is a couple pieces of printer paper. So I've got a couple 8.5 by 11 pieces here, and I'm going to go ahead and overlap them in the middle, just a little bit, about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to go ahead and glue those, or I'm going to go ahead and tape those together. So I've got some Scotch tape here. I'm going to go ahead and tape them together so I have one large piece of paper. Now, if you don't have Scotch tape, don't run out and get some. You don't have to do that. If you have some glue, use that. Or if you have a stapler like this one, go ahead and use that. But you do need to have some way of putting these two pieces of paper together. Okay, so I've got those together. I'm going to flip it over. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down the middle of this paper. So I'm going to draw a line here. For me, it's horizontal. For you, it might be vertical. But in any case, we need to have a line about in the middle. That's the line we're going to use to create a diameter for our circle that we're going to be drawing. So I've got this flexible ruler. I showed this to you last week. You can see it's flexible. It's marked off in increments, both metric and English. And I'm going to try to get it situated about in the middle, and I'm just going to draw a long line. It doesn't matter how long it needs to be, but it needs to be long enough for what you want to accomplish next. The next thing I need to do is establish a diameter. And so for this first problem, I'm going to say that we're going to do something like 7 inches. So what's half of 7 inches, carpenter? Half of 7 is 3.5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 3.5 about in the middle there. So this is in the middle. And then I'm going to make a mark on the end, the left end, and I'm going to call that A, or the top for you. And then I'm going to go over to the 7, make another mark, and I'm going to say that's B. So now I have a 7-inch diameter marked off on my piece of paper. The next thing I need to do is hopefully you have something like this. I need to get a couple of finish nails and a hammer. Now, if you don't have finish nails, you can see if you have some stick pins like this. They'll work too, but the finish nails and the hammer work best. So I'm going to go ahead and put my finish nail, my first finish nail at point A. And by the way, the finish nail is going to help the paper stay in place. And then I'm going to put a point at another finish nail at point B. And I'm not driving them in very far. They can stick out, but they just need to be secured so that I can bring my square up against them. Now, this is the heel of the square, right? And this is the blade, the narrower part. And then the wider part is the body, or this is the tongue of the square, carpenters. And this is the body, or the blade. In any case, I'm going to lay the inside of that up against those two nails. And so I'm going to go ahead and pivot and make sure that I maintain those contacts with those two nails, all right? So I'm going to start over here, and then I'm going to slide this up and move it as I go, but I need to maintain contact with those two nails. All right, so that looks like it's going to work pretty good. And then I'm going to take my pen, and you can use a pencil if you want to, but I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to stick it right there on the bottom side of the heel. This is the heel, or the point of that. And I'm going to go ahead and put my pen there, okay? So right at point A. And this is kind of complicated. You need a third hand, but I don't have one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start moving this. Okay, and again, I'm going to maintain contact with both point A and point B. And I'm going to keep on going across here. Okay, and I lost the corner a little bit there. I apologize for that, but you can kind of get what I'm trying to do. Okay, and I'm going to keep on going. I switched hands there, so I went from my left hand to my right hand. And I'm going to keep on going until I get to point B. Okay, now, not perfect, but you can see I've got a circle right there, right? Now I need to take this square and flip it over and put the inside edge at point A and point B again. And I'm going to put my pen in there at B this time. And I'm going to slowly bring my square around. And, oops, and let me try again here. Brought it away from B there for a second. But in any case, it's a little bit tougher with a cardboard square, simply because the cardboard square is a little bit too flexible. But do the best you can, all right? And try to keep it tight against those if you can. Okay, so I'm going to keep on going. This side's not going to be, this side's not going to be as good, carpenters, but that's okay. All right, and you can see there, I kind of messed up right in this area. But if I used a steel square, like my small one here, I could probably do a better job of getting that lined up, all right? So, this is what you have to do for problem number 1. Draw a basic circle. You determine what the diameter is. You'll need to use 2 pieces of paper, typically. You'll need to have a board that you can nail into, and then a couple nails, and if you don't have nails, you can use pins like this. Just be careful, don't push them in all the way. And then you need some kind of a square and a marking device. Okay, so here's that square, similar to the one that maybe some of you built last week. And I use it to go around to create my circle. If you have any questions, drop me a text or send me an email, and I'll try to do the best to help you. Once you get done with this, go ahead and use your camera to take a picture of it and put it in an email along with the other problems that you're doing. Make sure you identify this as being number 1, and that way you'll get credit for all your work. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.